Hi, Margot. Okay, verdict on the iced eggnog latte. It's pretty good. It's very creamy. I bought, it's like 6% fat eggnog or something. I don't know what normal is. It's like labeled as extra creamy. This is half milk, half eggnog, and it's pretty creamy. But it's good. Muffins turned out okay. I should have softened the butter. Sometimes if the butter and the sugar aren't creamed enough, then they kind of bubble out funny on the top, and then my kids won't eat them because they look weird. So like half of them kind of look like that and half of them are okay. So they might be able to eat 6 muffins and I will eat 6 other muffins. So let me show you what I've been working on the last few days here. This was an exciting FO. Is a skein of hand spun that I started spinning in July when I went on my little getaway in the summer to a little cabin just outside the city. And I had this great plan. I like brought like 4 braids of fiber along and I was gonna do all this spinning, and I spun up 2 bobbins. It's 70 grams. That's as much as I got done. And there's the rest of it. This is the braid that I was working on. This one's 100% Polworth. It's from the Fiber Goddess, and I have the other stuff. I think it's Polworth Silk. Yep. Anyways, I plied it up finally and skeined it and washed it, and it's quite nice. It felt a little bit ropey when I skeined it up. But it softened up quite nicely in the wash. I think it's still a little bit, I don't know. I'm just still learning, right? Like, I don't know what counts as like overspun. And I was trying to spin this finer than my usual kind of like default spin. And I think I was scared to find out what it was going to look like. So, but I think that this looks nice. We'll see if I get to spinning any more of it. But that was kind of nice to like, oh yeah, I did that thing. I needed a random project the other day and was about to cast on a new sweater. I immediately bought the Avenue pullover pattern from Toriu and was gonna swatch for that. But I decided wait, because what I had in mind was a fingering plus mohair. But I was like, wait, I have a sweater whip, very, very old whip that is fingering plus mohair. I should finish that. And so this is really random. I think I would have talked about this in my Languishing Whips video. This is the back of a broadleaf sweater by Wool and Pine. And I had knit the front of it, which is very like cool brioche, 2-color brioche design. And I knit the front and the back and I seamed them. And I never knit the sleeves. I knit ribbing around the armholes. I wore it a few times. I didn't like it. And so I ripped out the front, sort of spontaneously. I don't regret it, but it was like a little bit of an impulse decision to rip out the front, and it was a ton of work ripping out. This is fingering plus mohair. The second color for the brioche, like the contrast color, was just a single fingering weight. But it was a little bit of a pain in the butt to rip out. And now I have had this back panel sitting around, and a big ball of the yarn that had been from the front. And so my plan has been that I was just going to knit a plain front panel to go with this and maybe add sleeves, maybe not. Anyways, I did a little swatch the other day. I cast on, messed it up, cast on again, and I've knit this much of my front panel. I think it's good so far. I am not exactly at the same gauge, but I think it's fine. I kind of like did a bit of a rough gauge swatch and then was just going to use this to make my calculations. I think I want to do a V-neck, and so I need to do calculations and stuff to figure out how I want to go about doing that. But my husband and I started watching Stranger Things, like season 1 Stranger Things. He has watched all of it. He hasn't watched the season 5 that's just come out, but he has watched all of it and like rewatched it a couple times. And I just was never that interested in it, but I kept seeing things about the newest season, and I don't really like things that are scary, but I decided that I wanted to be a part of the cultural moment. And so this is season 1 of Stranger Things is what I have been working on, plus 1 episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine that we watched last night after the finale, because sometimes I have weird dreams after we watch Stranger Things. But anyways, I'm quite happy with it. I need to start crunching some numbers to figure out how much more I need to go before I divide for the neckband. This back panel is obviously just like a square, right? And so, well, rectangle. There isn't any shaping in it. And the same what it was in the broadleaf pattern, which is part of why I didn't like the fit. It had no shaping in the front. It was just like it was wearing 2 squares of fabric, and it choked me, and it didn't hang nicely. And the brioche on the front was a much different feeling of fabric versus this plain stockinette back. The pattern gives you the option of doing, like, you gotta either do a plain back or re-knit the front again as the back piece that has the brioche pattern on it. But I didn't want to do that because the brioche was a ton of work. Also, when I picked this up again to write some notes on my Ravelry page, I started this December 5th, 2020. Pretty much 5 years later, I picked it up again. So it's beautiful yarn. It is merino silk from Ancient Arts, and then a mohair silk from Things Created Equal. And I had bought more of the merino silk from Ancient Arts years ago because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough to do like full sleeves, but the obviously dye lot was like way different and the yarn looks quite different. And so I'm going to see how far I get on I'm quite sure I have enough of the original yarn to finish the front piece, and then I'll decide what I want to do for the sleeves. I have extra mohair, so I was like, I could just pick up and do mohair sleeves, or if the body is a bit darker and then the sleeves are a bit lighter, then like maybe that's okay. I'll have to make sure I have enough to do ribbing around the neckband in the original color. So anyways, I need to measure this and then decide what to do next. Part of why I messed it up at the beginning is I was trying to get the ribbing to match up so that when I seamed it, then it would continue the 2x2 pattern. And I like drew it out and like figured out what I needed to do, knit the ribbing, and then went to double check. And I was like, oh, no, I did that wrong. So I was going to end up with, I think, 4 knit stitches in a row or something. And I was like, maybe it's fine. I was like, nah, I should just redo it. Oh yeah, and I had also not gone down a needle size for my ribbing. So I had swatched for the stockinette, and then I didn't go down a needle size to do the ribbing. So I ripped it out and figured out again what stitches I was supposed to do. I had changed the pattern a little bit when I did the broadleaf initially, and so the stitch counts aren't the same anyways as the pattern. So yeah, there we go. I guess, what day is it today? Today's the 9th. So I started doing this again on the 6th. Did we watch? No, I must have been working on something else. Oh, I was working on my ranunculus when we first started watching Stranger Things. We didn't watch 8 episodes in 3 days. No. Anyways, that's been it's so like lovely and squishy, and I obviously love the colors, and it's just been easy to work away on. I'll just keep sharing about it. When I was at the Fiber Nook maybe last week, I overheard a conversation from one of the staff with a different customer about which cords are interchangeable with which needles. And I have a set of Knit Picks interchangeable needles that my husband got them for me when I was first learning how to knit, and they really like launched me into like knitting. And but I don't like the cords, and so I started using CHAGU needles. And anyways, apparently Lantern Moon cords, I shouldn't start saying which ones all are interchangeable because I won't get it right, but Lantern Moon cords are interchangeable with the Knit Picks needles. And so I bought a very nice Lantern Moon cord that is 1,000 times better than the Knit Picks cord. And so now it's like I've doubled the amount of needles that I own, because I don't know what my Knit Picks set went from. I always had it in a separate like needle case because I never used them. I think the smallest on that set is 3.5 millimeter, and then it goes all the way up to like 12 millimeter. So I have used these, but I would use the Knit Picks cords if I was in a pinch, but they're just not very good. So I'm using my nice bamboo needles now with a much better cord to knit this, and it's just like so much more enjoyable. So I have been working on another project that I can't show you just yet. It's not a surprise for anybody except for the person that I'm giving it to, but I will show it after I've given it. And then last night, while my husband was putting the kids to bed, aka it took me like 30 minutes and not 3 days, I made another sock tube. So that was exciting. It's so lovely. So this is the other half of this game. It was a big skein. It was 115 grams, but it was actually 124 grams. And so I split it up. It's from Comfy Cozy Knits, which is the local dyer. So this is self-striping merino nylon sock, 80/20. This colorway is called Treasured. It's years old. And I'd done a giveaway on my like first podcast anniversary. And this was one of the skeins I was going to give away. But then I never heard back from the person. And I just like glitched and didn't know what to do. And so it's literally been sitting in the bag ready to ship now for like a year and a half. I guess I've just reclaimed it as my own. So I knit this sock tube last night on my sock machine. And I oiled everything again ahead of time. I went up to 64 stitches. The Christmas socks I did was 56. Obviously a variety of stitch sizes. This is 64 stitches. I started initially at the stitch size 6, which is what I ended up doing most of that tube on, I believe. But then I kind of like cranked it down a little bit. And so I ended up at 4.5. Actually, I should measure what the gauge is on this because I wanted it to be a bit tighter. 10 stitches per inch. It's a nice, it's a dense fabric. I slipped it over my foot kind of, and it feels comfortable. I'm glad I went up in stitch count because that would have been too small otherwise. The foot of my Christmas socks is a bit tight, and I needed to make the heel deeper. And so I was researching some different ways to do that. I did drop one stitch, which then I found afterwards. So I just caught it on a stitch marker, so I'll repair that. And I dropped a stitch while I was knitting and thought I repaired it, but, well, I did. It did, like I caught it again, but I repaired it poorly. So because it happened right at the color change, I think it's more noticeable, but I don't know if I got them crossed or something, or if I picked it up twisted. Something happened. Anyways, yeah, so this is about 60 grams, and I'll turn this into one pair of socks. So I am going to find yarn for the heels, cuffs, and toes. So let's do that after I drink some more coffee. I'm not a super big sock knitter, right? Like I have a lot of sock yarn, but I have a lot of hand-dyed sock yarn, mostly. I like really speckled or variegated color. Although maybe that could work if this is like solid stripes. I don't know. Anyways, I have one. I'm going to grab and see if how the color looks. I have this jar on my counter that mostly has minis in it. So this is one I was thinking of. Like, it's not a perfect match for any of those colors, but I feel like it goes, you know. It's a Hedgehog Fibers Mini 9010. That could be an option. That could maybe be an option. It's a little bit variegated, kind of like the sock yarn is. The stripe in here is more black, and this is kind of more blue-gray, but that could maybe work. Let's consult the shelf. This is all the Shepya's sock yarn. It's like much brighter purple, but that could maybe work. Just a good old navy. Not that one. Some Knitpick Stroll in here. I don't want to use that. Bit number 2. Maybe just dark gray. My lighting is not great here for you to be able to even see any of these options. Maybe. That's so boring if I just do gray. I'll do blue. Obviously way more exciting navy blue than dark gray. Okay, I have acquired a hot water bottle and a drinking water bottle and the ugliest muffin. You know, obviously it's delicious, and the like buttery sugary mixture that comes out the top is yummy and crunchy, but my kids won't eat that. So I am partway through an episode made by Mumino, who also knit the Karuna cardigan, like during the test knit. And so that's how I found her, and now I've been enjoying her podcast, so. I'm trying to decide if I want to try and make them perfectly symmetrical. Like perfectly matching, I mean. I don't know why that's feeling hard for my brain to keep track of where all of my stripes would be and things. Okay, I finished a toe. The combination of the slightly thicker yarn and also me not being able to knit at 40 stitches per 4 inches. The toe looks a little bit fat, but it's fine. I knit, if I'm hand knitting a pair of socks, I'm knitting them on 2mm needles. That's the smallest needle I own. I'm just not a very tight knitter. So I think part of this is just because the yarn is thicker too. So anyways, I'm done now. I don't want to do any more. So I'm gonna do something else. Maybe I just like use double pointed needles now. I had used them for my gnomes for some of the fiddlier bits. And this other project that I'm working on is also a little bit fiddly. And I went for the double pointed needles again. And part of why I haven't enjoyed using them before, partly, well, because of this, right? Like, hello, like, but it's hard to just like get in the rhythm of things because you have to stop right now I'm stopping every 10 stitches and having to rearrange things. But when I do magic loop, you also have to stop, then I would be stopping every 20 stitches to rearrange things. And I find trying to feed the needle back in to place and like pulling out the other one, I don't know why. It's tedious and it's hard sometimes, and I just really don't enjoy the process of using magic loop. My preferred method for small circumference knitting is just to use a needle that's that big. Obviously, when I'm knitting something small, you can't do that. And so I'm using double pointed. I'm doing a sleeve right now on a kid's sweater, that bird intarsia sweater. And I'm using, I don't remember how long my cable is on it. Maybe 22 inches or something. And I'm using like a traveling loop instead of magic loop, which I prefer because you don't have to feed a needle back into stitches really. You just have to pull the cord out. I don't know. I don't know if that made sense, but anyways, I find that easier than doing magic loop. And that's helping me get through. I'm on the second sleeve of that sweater. I had filmed a bunch of it last week and then just like never put it in. So maybe I'll do that once maybe that'll be an episode one day. It's just like showing off my bird sweater. I don't know. Anyways, this is fun. I'm using this yarn double stranded because it's quite thin. It's like a light fingering weight. And when I pulled the center of the ball out, it like exploded everywhere and has been causing me a little bit of chaos. And so this is actually what I've cut off of the ball, and then I was trying to salvage it and keep using it. Anyways, so we finally decorated our Christmas tree, and our tree has been up. We have a fake tree. It's been up for like a couple of weeks, and we would turn it on. It's a pre-lit tree with like a sad amount of lights on it, but we hadn't, like, all the branches were still all compacted from being in the box, and we had to get more lights, and the old light strands we had all, they weren't working, and trying to figure out which, trying to fix Christmas lights. It's like, okay, what's the matter here? Is it a fuse problem? Is there one burnt out light bulb? Is one of them loose? Like, you just never know, right? And that delayed us quite a bit. So finally on the weekend, we decorated our Christmas tree. We got some new lights to go on it. And so there's lots of lights on it now. I really don't like cool white lights. They should not exist in the whole entire world. But the lights that we ended up with are warm white. Mostly they're yellow. It's fine. They're pretty yellow. It's better than them being too cool. The lights that are on the tree are a little bit too cool for me. They're too cool. But they're not like bright white. Anyways, the lights are up on the tree. We put all of our decorations out. We have a very much like, I have one set of ornaments that all match, that are all like red and gold, that we always put on first. By we, I mean, like, I tell everybody we're putting these on first. This is where they go. And like try and like inset them deeper into the tree, and they provide a bit of cohesion, but we have a very much like a smattering of ornaments from the last 36 years of our lives. Some ones from, when my husband and I were kids. We've got quite a few, not every single year, but a lot of years I buy us like a family ornament. And so we've got some ones from when my husband and I were first married that, has our names on them or whatever. And ones with the kids. But it also, we have ornaments that are, so I have an ornament from 2022 that has, I think we're all snowmen. And so it's like a family of snowmen. And the mama is pregnant because that's when I was pregnant with Beth. We have a lot of ornaments for Beth. I bought one that said, "You're bigger than the whole sky," which is a line from a Taylor Swift song, that who knows what it's actually about, but it's like very much sounds like it could be about pregnancy loss. And so yeah, but putting those up on the tree. We have there's like one of the local pregnancy infant loss groups does a candlelight service around Christmas time, and they always have stars for the babies, and so we have a couple of stars for Beth. We received ornament from a friend, kind of honoring her, and so we're like putting those up alongside all of our other ornaments, right? And it's like, cute ones from the boys that they made in school, or last year my son did like designed like 3D printed ornaments, and then they printed them at school, and so he was excited to see those again. And but in the NICU with Beth, they put together some Christmassy things for the babies in the NICU, and so one of them was a little glass ornament. Well, it's plastic, I guess, but it has a ribbon inside that's like the length that Beth was when she was born, and like a few little, like, I don't know what else is in there, little pom-poms or something. And it says baby's first Christmas on it. So some of those babies that year who got those baby's first Christmas ornaments are celebrating their 3rd birthday. And I'm sure there's other people who were in the NICU at the same time of us who also didn't get to take their babies home. But it's just always such a weird mixture of emotions as we're having this nice family time decorating our Christmas tree. And I brought up my record player. We were listening to the Charlie Brown Christmas album, and the boys were really into it this year and really excited to put the decorations out. And it's just also mixed with sadness, right? Last year I had bought an ornament at Christmas that they were all stockings, and so then they had all of our names on the stockings. And so I bought one that had spots for me and Tom and the boys and Beth and baby, because last Christmas I was pregnant. And I can't remember exactly what week I was at Christmas. I think I feel like I was like right around 12 weeks at Christmas time. And so kind of felt like a little bit of a sense of safety there, I guess, right? It's like, obviously I was feeling like nothing was safe. Like, I lost a child that had already been born. Like, no point in pregnancy or life is safe. But just obviously there's such a higher risk of pregnancy loss in that first trimester. And I'd had a really early miscarriage the year before, and like the year after we lost Beth. And that was a tricky loop there that was causing me problems. Anyways, so yeah, I had this little ornament then that had Beth and baby on it. Because last Christmas, we were still feeling hopeful that we'd be having another baby joining our family in June. And we said goodbye to that baby in February. So I don't have any pregnancy ornaments to put on the tree this year. Obviously this time of year is hard because we lost Beth at Christmas. And, we have a shelf in our living room that has some little mementos and stuff for Beth. We have, we still have the very first ultrasound photo like on our fridge from the baby we lost this past year. It's like, it's like the very early one. It's like a little speck. We have things around our house always that honor and remember them. And it is hard holding joy and grief at the same time. And we have felt very motivated to maintain the Christmas joy. I guess, like, I think probably some people, especially if they've, lost a loved one at Christmas time, like, they might just kind of write it off and be like, no, we don't do Christmas anymore. And like, totally, like, more power to you. Right now, what's felt right is for us to still have some Christmas joy. I feel very aware of people potentially misunderstanding how we hold both of those things. One of the big things that I've been learning since losing Beth is just not caring so much what people think. But that's always been a struggle for me, and it is still very much in the back of my mind. And so, it would be easy for me to just not share anything. And obviously I'm like, most people don't weirdly share about their lives on the internet through a knitting podcast. So I could opt to not be doing this. But also part of me feels like, no, it's important. Like, I want to be able to share my story. And, you know, what I wrote last year when we lost this other baby was like, you know, it'd been easy. We hadn't told anybody about the pregnancy really. And like our family knew. I had told like a couple of friends. And once we knew that the pregnancy wasn't going to last, like then we told people like, hey, guess what horrible thing is happening to us now. But it would have been easy for me to just like not ever talk about it again, right? It's like I didn't have to share it with anybody. Nobody else needed to know. But I felt really strongly like, no, like this is my life and I should feel like I'm allowed to talk about my life. Grief makes people uncomfortable. We don't generally have a good way of coping with grief in our culture. It's just easier to not have to think about it. I felt really strongly like I wanted to be allowed to talk about my own story. The message that I was hearing in my head was like, ugh, Kirsten again with the baby loss. Like, come on. Did anybody say that to us? No. Did anybody even come close to that? No. Maybe they were thinking it. I'm learning to it's not a good idea for me to try and mind read what people may or may not be thinking. My therapist keeps telling me that is not helpful and not a good idea. And I keep telling her like, no. In fact, if I just account for every possible scenario and think through every possible positive or negative or neutral thing that somebody else may or may not think, then I can control for all situations. I'm working on that. My ability to control for all situations just by being anxious about them is like, turns out I can't control what happens. But I'm like, my brain's still pretty sure that I can, so I keep trying. So anyways, all of this to say, we decorated our Christmas tree and we added cute little snowmen and 3D printed stars and ones from my childhood and my husband's childhood and also our grief ones. And all of those are good and all of those are important. I feel a little bit like I shouldn't be feeling motivated to be doing any sort of vlogmas thing because I should just like be in survival mode. But also I'm still enjoying it. And so I feel like maybe that's part of what surviving looks like, is doing something that I enjoy. Like, imagine that. So I'm going to just keep doing it until I don't feel like doing it anymore. Thanks for listening to me chat about my grief and the complications of Christmas time for us. There isn't any like shiny bow for me to wrap around that and move on. So, okay, bye. Hi, birdie. This is a perfect Riggy's Cardi day. I thought it was upstairs. No, wait. I thought it was downstairs. Came down here. Wasn't down here. Didn't want to get up. An hour later, I went upstairs and got it. I should have just had this on this entire time while I was down here because it's chilly down here. And this is exactly why I made this sweater. It's long. It's cozy. It's perfect. And we are back again with the Riggy's Cardi, but this time while wearing pajamas, which it is also very useful for. And it also looks like I am knitting on the exact same thing as I was earlier today, but in fact I am not. So thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for listening to me talk about hard things. I'm feeling very aware of sharing hard things. And fighting the urge to just delete the whole thing. I'm editing footage right now, and so please know that I edited out a lot of sniffles and a lot of me staring blankly into space. Yeah. Anyways, one of my children ate a muffin, and my other son reacted exactly how I expected that he would and said, "No, it looks weird." So my younger son, in fact, ate both muffins, and his brother's, and that's fine. More for me, I guess. So, I really wish that I had a finished new pair of socks that I could show you, but I didn't do any more after I knit that toe. Maybe I'll do more tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe I will cast on something new. That is also highly likely. And I'll see you next time, whenever that may be. So, goodbye. Happy knitting.